Now, many of us are aware that we are living in an era that is dubbed as late stage capitalism. The relentless pursuit of profit is leading to concentrations of wealth in proportions never seen before in human history. It's not just that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. There are now individuals accumulating the equivalent wealth of nations. They have the means to sway governments to do their bidding, something previously only corporations and industry lobbies had the power to do. They are people who live in unfathomable luxury and privilege while we struggle to survive. And when the whole system collapses around us, they will flee to their private island bunkers and leave the rest of us to deal with the devastation they wrought. So, I think we need to collectively start a conversation about determining what endgame capitalism will look like and what the potential trigger points are to indicate its arrival. We already have billionaires that have more money than they could have ever earned through their own labor. Exploitation and the theft of other people's share of resources is the only way to accumulate that much wealth. At some point, we must all mutually recognize that they have taken too much. I suggest one possible trigger point for endgame capitalism is the existence of the world's first trillionaire. How can we justify the existence of hunger, poverty, or homelessness and also have a trillionaire? I say they become the martyr for capitalism. Now, I don't mean this as a call to violence, no, just that they become the focal point of responsibility for all of the world's problems. Their likeness will be crucified in a suit and tie, staked to a dollar sign. That will be their trophy for winning capitalism. Whereas some people will look to the symbol of Jesus on the cross to give hope for the end of suffering, all people will look to the dollar sign with the trillionaire's likeness and see them as the reason why there is suffering. It will be their face, their name. That will be their trophy for winning capitalism. Who would want to be that trillionaire then? That's just one possible trigger point, and it's a pretty obvious one. Perhaps there are others that will be far more subtle. What do you think? What are your ideas for endgame capitalism trigger points? There might not be one singular event that heralds the arrival of endgame capitalism, but at some point we have to recognize that capitalism has gone too far, delved too greedily, and a correction must be enforced. While we might recognize this, the difficulty here is getting any government to do anything about it. The demands of the people are easily dismissed when money has been allowed to corrupt the system. The system itself is designed to A. Survive and B. Uphold capitalism. That's essentially liberal democracy. The government represents the interests of the private sector because it's supposed to. The system was set up to ensure the rich stay rich and that investors are entitled to profit. It was never meant to evolve beyond that, and it will fight like hell to keep that system alive. Compounding on that is the corrupting effect of money in politics. There are limits to how much money political parties can receive in donations, but there are no limits for other expenses. Who are the politicians more likely to represent? A nameless voter who they will never see, or the people who line their pockets? Who is more likely to offer them a high paying, do nothing job when they leave government? Billionaires can already pervert democracy. Their existence undermines the values we purport to have about fairness and equality. Their wealth allows them to not only buy politicians, but they can and do buy media platforms that will report whatever perspective they want. They'll buy social media platforms and tweak the algorithms towards promoting their worldviews. And if governments try to rein them in any way, they can spend seemingly endless amounts of money to run scare campaigns to counter them. And it works. If billionaires can do that, we need to not only put an end to that, but also make damn sure that there would never be a trillionaire. That kind of individual wealth concentration should be made impossible. Now, I don't think that capitalism should be entirely discarded, just that it shouldn't be the driving force behind everything. It needs to be limited in scope, regulated in reach, and held properly accountable by the law. The driving force behind capitalism is the profit motive, which is achieved by maximizing income while minimizing expenses. You raise prices, cut services, and call it efficiency. If left unchecked, capitalism will funnel all wealth upwards to the elite few, and everything else will be left to crumble. We're seeing the effects of it happening now with the gig economy. Work is casualized with no long term security, leaving people with few options for building a stable life. The way things are currently deteriorating, economic mobility will distill down to either sex work, scams, or gambling. But your odds of success there are infinitesimally small. Capitalism doesn't solve problems, it more often causes them. Then it monetizes the treatment. It's all about extraction of resources for profit. Big tech companies created surveillance capitalism, a whole new marketplace that revolves around harvesting our data as a new resource. Whether that be personal identification, our internet search habits, or even our own physical likeness. It's used to develop facial recognition, to target advertising to your personal preferences, to train AI and prediction models, and to manipulate us. This has led to data brokers, companies that collect, buy, and sell our information. I, like most people I reckon, have had their information hacked, leaked, or stolen on multiple occasions. I've had a finance company contact me to inform me that my information had been compromised by hackers, even though I'd never had an account with them. They collected my information from a third party and then lost it. But what recourse do I have? This is what is meant when liberal democracy is described as permissive. Everything is legal until there's a law that says it's not. But fear not, there are now companies who will contact those data brokers on your behalf and request they delete your information for a small ongoing subscription fee, since the data brokers can just get your data again unless you continually monitor them. Capitalism caused the problem, then monetized the treatment. If you want solutions, that requires regulation. One of the contributing factors to the housing crisis is affordability, because large corporations can buy up residential properties, offer $100,000 over your maximum offer, and price you out of the market, and then sit on that property for 100 years without ever needing to sell it. Corporations aren't people. They don't die, they have no children as heirs, they can just own things forever. The rich will own everything and the rest of us will own nothing. All aspects of life will become subscription based, and that subscription price will only ever keep rising. Foreign investors can buy up Australian residential property and just leave it empty. They don't need it to generate income, they just need it to store the wealth they have where their government can't tax it. And our government is okay with that because it inflates property values, which is an indicator of economic growth. But what value is actually generated? Adding to the issue of not using the housing we have, we're also not building the housing we need. We need multiple bedroom family homes, but real estate developers are driven by the profit motive, and the most profitable residential real estate is single bedroom units. The cost of living is skyrocketing because of corporate price gouging. They use inflation as an excuse to raise prices beyond what inflation warrants. Why? Beyond the obvious reason that they can do it and will get away with it, it's because they have a financial obligation to create value for their shareholders. The investor class is entitled to profit. And that's more important than anything else. We can't tackle climate change because that would threaten investors' money. We will consider all options except taxing the rich. One of the easiest ways for corporations to pad their bottom line and increase share values is to sack workers. The money that would normally pay them becomes added profit that gets divided amongst the shareholders. The problem here is that every business's employee is multiple other businesses' customer. Firing them removes their spending capacity from the economy. This is also one of the downstream effects of automation and AI replacing human workers. At what point do we say enough is enough? Time's up, change is coming. And what comes after? What kind of system will we put in place to build the foundation of the future? And who will put it in place? One last thing before I move on. Let's say that hypothetically some variant of an apocalypse occurs and society is collapsing. The billionaire class are fleeing to their doomsday bunkers to wait it out while everyone else suffers. I think one of the final acts that government should carry out is to take whatever military capacity they have and use it to destroy the billionaires' bunkers. As one final fuck you. You don't get to just wreck the world and escape free and clear of any repercussions. Even if it comes too late, you will face the consequences of your actions. We may have lost, but you didn't win. How does that sound for Endgame capitalism?